Have you ever used baking soda just to freshen up your fridge? Or maybe you've tossed a little into cookie dough to make it rise. If that's all you're using it for, buckle up, because you're barely scratching the surface. The truth is, only about 2% of people actually know how powerful baking soda really is. This humble white powder isn't just for baking or absorbing smells. It's a silent hero hiding in plain sight, with a wide range of surprising uses backed by science and centuries of history. In this video, we're diving deep into the true impact of baking soda. From its shocking origins to wild, almost magical household uses, and even life-saving hacks, you're going to see why this pantry staple deserves a whole lot more respect. And by the end of this video, you'll not only know how to use baking soda better, but you might even start looking at it as a tiny box of chemical genius. But before we start throwing baking soda on everything in sight, let's get into the why and how it works. Because understanding what makes this stuff tick is what separates the average user from the 2% who truly get it. And quick heads up, if you stick with me through this video, I'll share a weird but genius trick involving baking soda that very few people have ever tried. But it works like magic. So go ahead, hit that like button if you're ready, and let's start our journey by traveling back in time to where this amazing substance was first discovered. Trust me, by the end of this, you'll never look at that little orange box the same way again. Let's dive into the story of baking soda, where it came from and how it rose from ancient tool to modern miracle. The story of baking soda begins long before kitchen cabinets and boxed brands. Believe it or not, ancient civilizations were among the first to stumble upon the incredible power of this naturally occurring substance. The Egyptians, over 5,000 years ago, used a primitive form of baking soda known as natron. This was a naturally forming mixture that included sodium carbonate and sodium bicarbonate, the main ingredients in today's baking soda. They used it to clean their bodies, preserve mummies, and even as a soap-like substance. Already, baking soda was proving its worth as a cleanser and deodorizer. Fast forward to the 18th century, when scientists in Europe began to isolate and refine sodium bicarbonate in laboratories. In 1791, French chemist Nicolas Leblanc developed a process to create soda ash, sodium carbonate, which would later become a foundational part of producing baking soda. But it wasn't until 1846 that two American bakers, Dr. Austin Church and John Dwight, found a way to mass-produce sodium bicarbonate in powder form. They started a company in New York, and you guessed it. That became the famous Arm & Hammer brand we see today. From there, baking soda took off. It became a staple in households across the U.S., thanks to its multiple applications. During the Civil War, people used it to brush their teeth. In World War I, it was added to soldiers' kits as a cleaning and deodorizing agent. And during the Great Depression, when people couldn't afford expensive products, baking soda served as an all-in-one cleaner, deodorant, toothpaste, and even mild medicine. What makes its story so fascinating is that baking soda wasn't just a product of science. It was a product of necessity. It bridged the gap between ancient natural remedies and modern chemical innovation. It proved that you don't always need something fancy or expensive to solve everyday problems. Sometimes the simplest solutions, like a scoop of white powder, are the most powerful. So now that we know where baking soda came from and how it earned its reputation through centuries of use, let's get into the nitty-gritty of how it actually works. Because when you understand the chemistry behind it, everything else makes way more sense. At its core, baking soda is a chemical compound called sodium bicarbonate with the formula NaHCO3. It's a mild alkaline substance, meaning it's on the basic side of the pH scale. But don't let that simplicity fool you. It's this basic nature that gives baking soda its wide range of uses. Let's start with one of the most well-known reactions, when baking soda meets acid. Think vinegar, lemon juice, yogurt, or even buttermilk. When combined, the acid and base create a chemical reaction that produces carbon dioxide gas. That's the fizzy action you see in science fair volcanoes. But in your kitchen, that gas is what helps baked goods rise. It creates tiny bubbles in the dough or batter, making it light and fluffy. That's why baking soda is a leavening agent. It's not just there for flavor or structure. It's doing real chemical work, but it doesn't stop at food. Baking soda's alkalinity allows it to neutralize odors by reacting with the acids that cause bad smells. That's why it works so well in shoes, refrigerators, or anywhere that needs freshening up. It's not masking the smell, it's actually eliminating it on a chemical level. Another incredible trait? Its mild abrasiveness. Baking soda has tiny, gritty particles that make it perfect for scrubbing without scratching. That's why it's great in toothpaste, face scrubs, or even for cleaning pots and pans. It's strong enough to tackle grime, but gentle enough for your skin or enamel, if used properly. And here's something many people don't realize. Baking soda can also act as a buffering agent. That means it helps maintain pH levels, preventing them from getting too acidic or too alkaline. This property makes it useful in pools, personal care products, and even medical treatments where pH balance is critical. Now, it's important not to confuse baking soda with baking powder. While both are used in baking, baking powder actually contains baking soda plus an acid, often cream of tartar. That means it can create the gas bubbles on its own with just moisture and heat. Baking soda, on the other hand, needs that external acid to react. Lastly, don't forget baking soda's role as a fire suppressant. When heated to high temperatures, it releases carbon dioxide, which can smother small grease or electrical fires. This is why it's actually recommended to keep some baking soda in your kitchen for emergencies. In short, the magic of baking soda lies in its simple yet dynamic chemical structure. Whether it's cleaning, deodorizing, cooking, or even saving lives in emergencies, its chemical versatility makes it one of the most useful substances you can have in your home. And now that we understand what makes baking soda tick, it's time to dive into how we can actually use it in our daily lives. Let's start with your body, because the health and wellness benefits of baking soda, they're way more powerful than you might think. You might be surprised to know that baking soda isn't just a cleaning product. It actually plays a huge role in personal health and wellness too. In fact, many of its benefits have been backed by science and used for generations. Let's start with one of the most popular uses, digestive health. Baking soda acts as a natural antacid. When you mix a small amount, say half a teaspoon, with water, it can help relieve heartburn or indigestion by neutralizing excess stomach acid. It's fast-acting and affordable, though you shouldn't rely on it every day without talking to your doctor. Now let's move up a bit, to your mouth. Baking soda is a gentle but effective tool for oral hygiene. Because it's mildly abrasive and alkaline, it can scrub away plaque, help whiten teeth, and neutralize odors in the mouth. That's why it's often found in toothpaste and DIY mouth rinses. Simply mixing baking soda with a bit of water can create a paste that works wonders for a cleaner smile and fresher breath. Some people even use it as a full-on mouthwash by dissolving it in warm water and swishing for 30 seconds. On the skin side of things, baking soda has a lot to offer. For one, it's great for soothing irritation. Got an insect bite, itchy rash, or mild sunburn? A paste made with baking soda and water can bring instant relief. It also helps with exfoliation. Mix it into your face wash or body scrub to gently buff away dead skin. Just don't overdo it. Because baking soda is alkaline, using it too often can mess with your skin's natural pH, especially on sensitive skin. Let's talk about odor control. Baking soda naturally absorbs and neutralizes odors, making it a perfect DIY deodorant. Mix it with coconut oil or a few drops of essential oil for a natural underarm solution. It's free of aluminum and synthetic fragrances, which is a huge bonus for people looking to go chemical-free. And if you deal with foot odor, a simple foot soak with baking soda can work wonders. Ever get those muscle aches after a tough workout? Some athletes swear by baking soda baths to help with soreness. The theory is that its alkalinity helps reduce lactic acid buildup, though research on this is still ongoing. Still, a warm soak with baking soda and Epsom salt is undeniably relaxing and could help ease minor aches. And finally, here's one lesser-known but fascinating use: urinary tract health. Some people use baking soda as part of a regimen to help balance urinary pH and reduce discomfort. Again, this is something that should always be done with medical guidance. but it's another testament to baking soda's versatility in personal health. That said, baking soda isn't a cure-all. Using it too frequently or in high doses can lead to side effects, like upset stomach or high sodium intake. It can also irritate skin if left on too long or used too often. So while it's incredibly useful, it's best used in moderation and with a little common sense. Now let's move into the home, because when it comes to cleaning, baking soda is basically the MVP of the pantry. It's cheap, safe, non-toxic, and ridiculously effective. Let's kick things off in the kitchen. Baking soda can clean countertops, sinks, and stovetops with ease. Its mild abrasiveness lets you scrub away grime without scratching surfaces. Sprinkle it on a damp sponge or mix with water to create a paste. It'll cut through grease and remove stuck-on food in no time. Got a funky fridge odor? That's probably the most famous use of baking soda. Just pop an open box in the back of the fridge and it starts absorbing all those mysterious smells. Leftovers, onions, whatever's in that back corner container. But it doesn't stop there. You can place small containers of baking soda in trash cans, microwaves, and even your car to neutralize bad smells. Let's talk about bathroom magic. Baking soda is a powerhouse for cleaning tile grout, deodorizing toilets, and removing soap scum. Make a thick paste with water and scrub it into grout lines or the tub. For extra power, add vinegar to trigger a fizzy chemical reaction that helps lift stains and gunk. That same combo works great in the toilet. Pour in baking soda, add vinegar, and let the fizz do the heavy lifting before scrubbing. Don't forget your laundry. Adding half a cup of baking soda to your wash boosts detergent power, softens water, and neutralizes odors, especially in gym clothes or pet bedding. It can even help whiten whites without the harshness of bleach. For a deeper clean, mix it with hydrogen peroxide to remove yellowing or dingy stains from white fabrics. How about those kitchen appliances? Baking soda works wonders in dishwashers, coffee makers, and even blenders. Run a cleaning cycle with baking soda and hot water to remove buildup and deodorize. For greasy stovetop hoods or exhaust fans, a baking soda paste can lift oil and grime that other cleaners can't. Let's move to the carpets. Sprinkle baking soda generously over rugs or carpeted areas. Let it sit for 15 to 20 minutes, then vacuum it up. It'll pull odors from the fibers and leave everything smelling fresher. You can even add essential oils to the baking soda before spreading it to give your home a subtle scent boost. How about clogged drains? One of the simplest hacks involves dumping half a cup of baking soda down the drain, followed by vinegar. Let it bubble for a few minutes, then flush with hot water. It's not a fix for serious clogs, but for mild blockages and routine cleaning, it's a natural go-to. You can also shine up silverware and jewelry with baking soda. Mix it with a bit of water to make a paste. Gently rub it on your tarnished items, then rinse and polish. It's a cheap alternative to fancy silver polish, and it works surprisingly well. And here's something pet owners will love. Baking soda is a great pet deodorizer. Sprinkle it on pet beds, litter boxes, or even lightly over your dog's fur before a brush out. Just be sure they don't inhale it or lick it in large quantities. It helps control odors without harming your furry friend. Worried about pesticides on produce? A baking soda soak can help. Mix a tablespoon of baking soda in a bowl of water and let fruits or veggies soak for 12 to 15 minutes before rinsing. Studies have shown this method helps break down and remove pesticide residue better than plain water. From floors to faucets, from laundry to lunchboxes, baking soda's natural versatility means it can replace multiple chemical-laden products in your cleaning routine. It's safer for kids and pets, it's budget-friendly, and honestly, once you try these hacks, you'll wonder why you ever cleaned without it. We all know baking soda as that white powder you toss into cookie dough or pancake batter. But in the kitchen, its role goes way beyond just making things rise. Let's start with that iconic role, leavening. When baking soda combines with acidic ingredients like vinegar, yogurt, or lemon juice, it produces carbon dioxide bubbles. Those bubbles get trapped in the dough or batter, helping everything from cakes to biscuits rise and become soft and fluffy. But timing is key, because the reaction happens fast. You need to bake immediately after mixing to take full advantage of the lift. Baking soda also helps with tenderizing meat. Just sprinkle a little over raw cuts. Let it sit for 15 to 20 minutes, and then rinse off before cooking. It raises the pH of the meat's surface, making it harder for proteins to bond tightly, which results in a more tender bite. It's a simple trick that restaurants use more than you might think. Now let's talk about vegetables. Want to keep green veggies like broccoli and spinach vibrant when boiling? Adding a pinch of baking soda to the water helps retain color by neutralizing acidity. But be careful. Too much can make them mushy and affect the flavor. So, moderation is everything. Baking soda can even help neutralize acidic foods. If you've ever made tomato sauce that was a little too tangy, a small pinch of baking soda can balance it out without adding sugar. It's also useful in coffee for people with acid sensitivity. Just a tiny amount in your cup can smooth out bitterness and reduce acidity. Here's a cool food hack you probably haven't tried. Caramelizing onions faster. Onions take time to release their natural sugars and become sweet and golden. But if you sprinkle just a tiny pinch of baking soda while sautéing, it raises the pH, which speeds up the Maillard reaction, the chemical reaction responsible for browning and flavor. The result? Golden onions in half the time. You can even use baking soda to make beans more digestible. Adding it to soaking water helps soften the beans and reduce compounds that cause gas. Just don't use too much. It can make the beans mushy or taste off. A quarter teaspoon per liter of water is usually enough. And lastly, baking soda helps with browning baked goods. It raises the pH of the dough, promoting faster browning in cookies and breads. That's how you get that beautiful golden edge and crispness, especially in recipes that don't have much sugar or fat. So yes, baking soda helps things rise, but in the kitchen, it's also a secret weapon for texture, tenderness, and taste. It's the quiet culinary hero you didn't know was doing all the heavy lifting. By now, you probably see baking soda as a bit of a multitasking wizard. But we're not done yet. Let's dive into some of the most surprising and unconventional uses that only the most dedicated fans, and that lucky 2%, know about. Ever spilled red wine or coffee on your carpet? Before you panic, reach for the baking soda. Blot the stain, sprinkle a generous amount on top, and then pour a bit of club soda or vinegar. The fizzy reaction helps lift the stain while the baking soda absorbs moisture and odor. After it dries, vacuum it up. Voila! Good as new. Need a natural fire extinguisher? Yep, baking soda has your back. It releases carbon dioxide when heated, which helps smother small grease or electrical fires. While it's not a replacement for a real extinguisher, keeping some near the stove can be a smart backup in an emergency. Here's one that shocks a lot of people. Baking soda can de-ice your driveway or steps in winter. It's not as harsh as commercial salt, which can damage concrete or harm pets. Just sprinkle it over the icy area, and it'll help melt the ice and add a little traction. Traveling? Bring a little baking soda as a dry shampoo. Just sprinkle a tiny amount on your scalp, work it through with your fingers and brush it out. It absorbs oil and odors in a pinch. No water required. And yes, you can even use baking soda to clean batteries. Corroded terminals on car or device batteries can be gently cleaned with a paste of baking soda and water. Apply it with a cotton swab or old toothbrush, then wipe clean. Just be cautious. Always disconnect the battery first and wear gloves. Want an old-school book deodorizer? Musty smell in your favorite vintage novel? Stick the book in a plastic bin with an open box of baking soda for a few days. It'll absorb that old book funk without damaging the pages. And finally, for all the creative types out there, you can actually use baking soda to make homemade modeling clay or craft dough. Combine it with cornstarch and water, heat it on the stove, and you'll get a pliable, non-toxic dough that's fun for kids and safe for everyone. These surprising hacks are just more proof that baking soda is like the Swiss Army knife of your pantry. Small, unassuming, but endlessly useful. And we're only just scratching the surface. Even though baking soda is safe and versatile, there are definitely some important do's and don'ts you need to know. Because like anything powerful, it can cause problems if misused. Let's start with one of the biggest mistakes: using too much. Whether it's in your food, on your skin, or as a cleaner, more is not always better. Overusing baking soda can throw off pH levels, leading to irritated skin, upset stomachs, or even damaged surfaces. Always measure and follow guidelines when possible. Another common error? Using it on natural stone. If you have granite or marble countertops, skip the baking soda. Its abrasiveness can dull the finish and damage the sealant over time. Stick to gentle, stone-safe cleaners for those surfaces. Using baking soda as a daily skincare product might seem tempting because it exfoliates, but frequent use can dry out or irritate sensitive skin. Limit it to once a week or do a patch test if you're trying it for the first time. Then there's the classic baking soda versus baking powder confusion. They are not interchangeable in recipes. Baking soda needs an acid to activate, while baking powder already includes one. Swapping them without adjustments can totally ruin your dish. And last but not least, don't try to use baking soda as a full-on medical treatment without consulting a professional. It's great for minor relief, but relying on it too much, especially in large doses, can lead to serious issues like metabolic alkalosis or increased sodium levels. In short, baking soda is powerful, but like any tool, it works best when used wisely and respectfully. So what sets apart that rare 2% who understand the true power of baking soda? It comes down to knowing how and why it works. Let's explore some of the fascinating science behind it, and how that knowledge can change the way we use it forever. At the heart of it all is pH balance. Most people know that baking soda is basic or alkaline, but they don't realize how this property affects nearly every application. Whether it's neutralizing odors, adjusting the pH of soil, or calming acidity in the body, understanding this principle allows for more targeted, effective use. For example, did you know that bacteria and mold thrive in acidic environments? By raising the pH, baking soda disrupts their growth. That's why it works so well in deodorizing and cleaning applications. It doesn't just mask odors, it creates an environment where odor-causing bacteria can't survive. Let's look at cooking again. The Maillard reaction, the process responsible for browning and flavor development in seared meats and baked goods, happens faster in an alkaline environment. That means when you use baking soda to raise pH, you're actually speeding up this reaction. That's why your cookies come out more golden and flavorful. In gardening, baking soda can be used to test and adjust soil pH. Plants like hydrangeas, tomatoes, and roses thrive in specific ranges. With a little know-how, baking soda can help you create the perfect environment for your garden to thrive, naturally. Then there's the often overlooked fact that baking soda is a buffer. This means it can resist changes in pH, which is super valuable in everything from swimming pools to skincare products. Buffers help maintain stability, and baking soda is one of the easiest and safest ones to work with. And here's a wild one. NASA has studied baking soda as part of life support systems in space. Why? Because of its ability to absorb carbon dioxide and control pH levels in closed environments. If astronauts are trusting baking soda to help maintain breathable air, that says a lot about its versatility and importance. Even in medical science, baking soda has shown promise in areas like kidney health, where it's used under supervision to slow the progression of certain diseases. Studies are ongoing, but it highlights the growing interest in this basic compound's potential. The real difference between everyday users and the 2% is intentionality. When you understand the chemical principles, like acid-base reactions, buffering capacity, and the impact on microbes, you stop guessing and start using baking soda like a pro. It's no longer just something that might work. It becomes a precise, dependable tool. And once you see it that way, it's hard to go back to the basics. Let's take a moment to step back and recap what we've uncovered. We started with a simple question. What's the true impact of baking soda? And what we've learned is that it's far more than a kitchen ingredient or cleaning trick. We explored its ancient roots in Egyptian culture and how it evolved through centuries of innovation, from mummification to modern medicine. We unpacked the chemistry behind it, a single compound with the power to clean, cook, heal, deodorize, and more, all because of its basic pH balancing properties. We looked at health and wellness uses, like relieving indigestion, whitening teeth, and soothing skin. We saw how it can clean everything from laundry to tile grout, how it boosts food flavor and texture, and how it can be a secret weapon in emergencies, science projects, and self-care routines. Then we got into the unconventional hacks, from dry shampoo to battery cleaner to ice melter, and learned what not to do to keep it safe and effective. We dove into the science that makes baking soda so reliable and versatile, and we unpacked how knowledge separates casual users from the empowered few. So what's the big takeaway? Baking soda is not just a household staple, it's a tool of empowerment. It teaches us that simple solutions can solve complex problems. That chemistry isn't just for labs, it's for everyday life. That sometimes, the most ordinary-looking things carry the most extraordinary potential. Here's your challenge. Start applying what you've learned today. Don't just stash that orange box in the back of your fridge. Experiment. Test. Explore. Use it with intention. And share what you've learned with others. Because the world needs more of that 2%. And as promised, here's that weird but awesome baking soda trick. Mix it with lemon juice and a splash of honey, and apply it as a quick facial mask. It fizzes a little, exfoliates gently, and leaves your skin feeling incredibly refreshed. Just remember, not for daily use. Use once a week max, and always do a patch test. Thanks for sticking around. Now you're officially part of the 2% Club. If you found this video helpful, like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into everyday genius. Until next time, keep questioning the ordinary.